My name is Jack Parsons. I live at Moor Close Barn, Esplane, Barnoldswick in Lancashire. I've lived here basically all my life, apart from the first 9 months. As it is now, I'm in a converted barn because of my disability, and I'm in a wheelchair, so yeah. The farm itself goes back to the late 1400s. My mum lived next door. She lived on the farm a little bit more further up there, so when she got married, all she did was just came down the field and into this place, so yeah. Basically here it's just like me and my sister. My mum's sisters and brothers were all sports people. They liked doing all different kinds of sports. But my granddad used to do a lot of short distance running back in the 1920s. And so it's kind of been in family. And when I was at school, I didn't particularly like doing football, so we went cross-country running. And then when I kind of left school, I kind of like still carried on doing like running around the fields around here. 1977 was the Queen's Silver Jubilee, and they moved then the fell race, the local fell race, to a different part of town. I thought, right, I'm doing that. And my mum says, off the goers, get this hell into that. So I kind of went down, and I still had my old t-shirt, just a t-shirt, shorts that I wore when I was at school, my pumps that I wore at school, no running shoes. And then off I went and signed in. And it runs over most of the land that my dad had, and then next door neighbours as well. So 6 miles. And eventually, over time, I did 1 or 2 cups there, which I won for, first local. And there was always some local lad you could never beat. It was always just that bit better, no matter how you tried. So it was great fun. Just enjoyed it, And then eventually did a marathon. Went in the first Bolton Marathon down in Manchester. Hard work, tiring, but the people, and I mean the people, coming out of the houses, giving you oranges and water and encouraging you. Unbelievable. Yeah, seeing the local people coming out there and encouraging you. That was unbelievable. Never forget that. Yeah. Yeah. My emotions get beyond me now. It's one of the problems with your spinal cord injury. People either go aggressive or they go emotional, and I go emotional. And it's like, it's post-traumatic stress syndrome. So it's basically the same things that army lads get. And it doesn't need much little things to trigger it off. And See, when I left school, what was that, 1970? I just worked for a building firm, local building firm who did mainly or nearly all agricultural work. The boss's brother had a big sawmill over in Bingley, and sometimes he'd say, you can go out, there's some jobs here that they're doing some felling. we can pick up main branches up, we can have that for firewood. So like, because I was tractor driving a trailer, so I had to go them and then Alan had to go on with us and pick these lot up. And you were seeing these lads, them felling trees, and they were wild. Seeing these lot, and I can always remember they had a big bulldozer with a big grab on. They can grab about 3 trees at once, and his dad sent him on up this top of this tree off, and he's cleaning it up, and he dropped chainsaw. It came down, smashed all up, what casing did. Anyway, he came down, his father gave him such a bollocking, and I've never heard language like it. And he just said, all right, still starts, father. Off it went, and bare bones things. You know, these lads, health and safety just went out at window. You know, they didn't wear any safety equipment. On this big machine, it's a big Stenner machine. Trees would go up this, you know, on chains going up into the machine. First cut comes off, and it comes up towards it. My job was then to take that, put it into skip. But it only comes up so far up the chains, because they were that flappy, it didn't come up, and it builds up, and he'd shout at you, get it out of the thing, I don't want it in those planks. So I reached over for it, that were it. Grabbed on my clothes, I had a leather apron, grabbed on that, woof, straight in. And the chains were going like this way, then going that way, and it was pulling me back and continuous, up against a metal barrier basically, and that kind of brought me back. And because it was got them in my clothes, wrapping them up, it kind of got up to my arms, and I'm thinking, I could hear all my ribs going, snap, creak, crack, snap, and it kept going in and in and in. And I kept thinking, it's going to take my head off, is this? Basically, that's what going through my mind, and I couldn't get out. No matter how I tried, I couldn't get out of the way. Because I was trying to get out of the way, and it got in my arm, stripped all my muscles off my right arm, straight off. And then all of a sudden, out. I could still hear the machine. Clickety click, clickety click, clickety click. I could still hear it. And then all of a sudden, everything went. And it was the weirdest feeling I've ever in my life. It's like going to sleep, but you knew you were still there. There were a thought in your mind. Because all your sensations are gone. Smell, hearing, taste, had all gone, but there was a thought in your mind. And then all of a sudden, at distance, on my right-hand side was a little white dot. And I didn't know whether I was going to the dot or the dot was coming to me. I think the dot was coming towards me, really. And it got brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. And then all of a sudden, it got to be really up to me. And if you've ever seen the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right at the beginning, the music gets really loud and it goes da-da, and then in the desert. Same with this, and it came right up, straight all over the top of me, then bang! I'm in this world, I'm on the floor, bang. No more soon after that, my former boss walked past behind me, and he just says, what are you doing down there for, Jack? And he kind of came round and he just said, and he thought, oh, I'll just switch machine off. I thought, well, it can't be too bad, he hasn't fainted, because if Harry saw a drop of blood, he had to be away. He didn't like the look of blood. I thought, he hasn't passed out yet. That was my thought, and eventually he kind of, because there was no safety button anywhere near, you see. So he stopped that, and he came back and he put his donkey coat over me, and he says, I'll go and tell our Richard. And anyway, he came round and all he did was just mouth. Well, what are you doing that for? You should have been doing this. You shouldn't have been there. You should have been doing this and that. Oh. And I just said, piss off, Richard. And I've never said that before anybody would be had enough. And then I blacked out for some reason. I don't remember much. Shipped me off to Burnley, who couldn't do anything for me. Apart from giving me 16 units of blood, they gave me 16 units, which I've managed to find out. But all they were wanting to do was take my arm off. My dad must have been on there, because my dad told me, he said they pleaded on me to give permission to take your arm off. He said, and he just went into John Wayne mode, as I would call it, and he says, the hell you will. There's no bloody way there's doing that. We said, well, we can't do out for him. You know, there's nobody, no hospital in Lancashire would take you. There'll be a Liverpool one would. We said he'd be dead before he gets there. Or there's Leeds, and he said, well, you patch it up best way they can and ship him off to Leeds then. So they took me to Leeds, to St James's. I don't remember that. The guy who was going to do the operation found it too complex for him, the registrar. And he phoned up what I would call his boss. There's always somebody a lot more higher up. And he was talking to him, and he just says, this guy says, get him ready and I'll be there. And I can't remember this man's name, Mr. K, he called him. And this man flew in from Sweden. He was in Sweden, and he flew then to Leeds, and that's why I have an arm as it is now. Even though I've no biceps or triceps. Remarkable man. He actually put another man's hands onto somebody else, Mr. K, and remarkable man. I was worst case, I mean, I was taken into Pinderfields Hospital, which is a spinal injury unit, and I was worst case for trauma that they had in there, but I was seeing people who were far worse, you know. Mr. Milner, I think his name was, who did my back. He fixed all my back up, putting rods and screws and things like that in to keep that in, because my two vertebrae, my T11, T12s, were shoved right out of alignment. And then eventually I had 4 chest drains in, because when they started feeding me with baby food, which was horrible, it was coming out of my chest drains. The food wasn't going into my stomach. Yeah, I'm just pumping out here, and the nurse says, it's not supposed to do that, Jack. Right? So, nil. Didn't eat anything then for about another month. Everything was just pumped into me through a vein. And eventually I had to go to the LGI in Leeds to have a chest operation. And because it was becoming life-threatening, they were saying, and so I had to be there. And because you're in spinal shock, they managed just to shove all the ribs together. My sternum was split, so it was in separate pieces. And they kind of shoved it together and let it heal up itself, because it wasn't going anywhere. But they pumped out all the gums from the chest cavity, and that's when I felt really poorly. And I mean poorly. I felt death here. It's been the only time I've ever told my dad that I loved him. Yeah. Sorry. Hard times. When I was in hospital at Pinderfields, I used to go out, took a little compact camera, and I was photographing people, you know, so I've got some pictures of doing them. It all kind of started when at Christmas time we used to go up to my grandma's up there, and all my mum's family would go there, brothers, all her brothers and sisters, and my Uncle Charlie would always do a slideshow. It was a bit of a comical thing, but it was always a slideshow. And that's how it kind of came. I thought, yeah, I like that sort of thing. You try and do some, you know, taking photographs, and used to short photographs, and that's how it kind of came. And then I kind of saved up and got myself a 35mm camera. And and started doing photographs. And then I started doing slideshows. They could take mick out of me then, that so to speak. And I started developing. I did mainly slide film. That's what I kind of did. And then eventually I started doing black and white printing, and set my own kind of dark room up best way I could do. And eventually one day down in town as I was going to work, I saw a thing in one of the building society saying, "Come to our camera club." I thought, I didn't know there were one in Barlick, you know. And I kind of went along, and all these guys were there, and I've been there ever since. And that must have been in the early 80s, something like that. That was. You know, and then I started doing my photography then with my astronomy, doing astrophotography in my own tin pot way. And, yeah, I've always liked photography, and find an old camera and then bring that up and, you know, trying it out, see if it would work, you know. I still got my mum and dad's old box Browning, put some roller film in that and try it out. I think it works, you know. How would I do nighttime photography? It's a bit of a hard one, is that? But basically, I have my telescope tracks the sky, so in its basic form, and but I need to get it set up precisely, get it all nicely levelled out. I've got to have it polar aligned, so it's poles to the pole star, and eventually it should then track the stars. But it's more to it than that. It has to be really precise, especially when you're doing times exposures going up minute, 2 minutes, sometimes even 4 minutes on your camera. So you need to be really set up nicely, especially with the scope anyway, the telescope. If I'm using camera lenses, that's a bit more forgiving. But even then I still have to get it set up right. Just out there in the yard, just out there. And but there's something nice when you're kind of photographing something which is like your nose there, but you can't see it. And then all of a sudden, back of your camera, wow, I've got it. You know, and then when you got something like that, yeah, that's nice, you know. Freezing cold, you know, you put all your layers on, I put all my down jackets on and what have you, and you wheel yourself. In setting it up, it takes me quite a while. You know, it didn't as if I was, you know, as I was beforehand, able-bodied. As it is now, it takes me quite a while, and yeah. But I can do it, you know, I can do it. Just takes me time just to set up, and now I do digital, you know, which is another great thing. It's a lot easier. No smelly chemicals. You know, you have to learn a whole new range of skills now on the computer. And I can do that, you know, quite freely. Now, because I'm on the internet, I'm on these different kind of forums now, so people are all talking, they're showing what they've been doing. I thought, I can have a go at doing that. So that's kind of brought things out a bit more. You know, this is UK astronomy I go on to, and they kind of, you know, there's people there, you know, try this out, try that out, and yeah. So I like that kind of now, you know. So that's kind of brought things on. You know, you're talking to somebody who's at the other end of the country. You know, they're someone down south, someone's up north, and then the couple of weeks ago, there was some Northern Lights on. I just come home from my camera club, and the guy there says, "All right, I've got a red alert on my phone. There's some Northern Lights on." I said, "You'd be bloody lucky. Look, it's cloudy." He said, "But it might clear out." And the time I got home, and you could just see there was a patch of light coming. I thought, it's clearing out a bit. So I waited and waited and waited, and I thought, I kept taking pictures and I thought, I could see a slight green coming through a cloud. I thought, there's something behind it. And eventually this clear piece came through and I could see this wavy light, white curtains, so to speak, and my camera brought all these, you know, greeny yellows and a big bright red. I thought, yeah, Northern Lights. So I sent the message off to the Cravener, the local paper, and he said, oh, let's see, we'll put it in. And anyway, to the day, got paper, and there it is. Fame at last. So yeah, I like, yeah. Got my name in there. So yeah, I like doing that sort of thing.